Of the right stand, we will start with the story of someone who gave his all for Bharat's freedom. He had a very clear vision of who a Hindu, a Hindustani was and what Bharat should look like. He was somebody who had written paeans about Mahabharati and also suffered the longest among many others at the hands of the British colonial rule and the punishments that were served to him. I'm talking about Vinayak Damodar Savarkar or Veer Savarkar. Veer Savarkar wasn't against cow slaughter. He ate beef. This is how Karnataka Health Minister Dinesh Gundu Rao referred to one of Bharat's greatest icons while addressing an event in Bengaluru organized to mark Gandhi Jayanti. He went on to say that Savarkar was a Brahmin, but he ate beef and was a non-vegetarian. He did not oppose cow slaughter. He also emphasized that Savarkar's ideology leaned towards fundamentalism, whereas Gandhi's beliefs were deeply democratic. He hailed Jinnah as an icon for Muslims and said Jinnah was never a fundamentalist. And Jinnah ate pork. He said all of that too. But Jinnah had to take a political decision, and his ambitions to become a prime minister led him to walk down the path of fundamentalism. But Savarkar inherently was fundamentalist is what Dinesh Gundu Rao said. This is not the first time the Congress has made such remarks against Veer Savarkar. So is it just a mindset, a narrative that the minister has perhaps continued to follow, a continuum of the Congress and the Nehruvian narrative to vilify anybody and everybody other than Gandhi or other than those who were aligned to the Nehruvian form of thought? Many believe or many argue that the Nehruvian form of thought also appropriated Gandhi. And not all of what Gandhi had said or Mahatma Gandhi had said was actually adhered to by even Pandit Nehru himself. But that's a different conversation. But in terms of the vilification of Savarkar, is this a continuum? Earlier in the past, Congress leaders like Rahul Gandhi have said that his surname was not Savarkar and that he was a Gandhi, and Gandhi never apologizes. The Congress insulted the great icon, claiming that he begged before the British for mercy. Even the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, claimed that Veer Savarkar was not in favor of the Hindutva ideology that Savarkar patronized. Tuhin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP with us, Anand Ranganathan, author with us, Lokesh Jindal, political activist and analyst with us and commentator with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. So was Vinayak Damodar Savarkar a fundamentalist, Tuhin Sinha?
Well, namaste Anand, namaste everybody. He was one of the biggest unifiers of the Hindu Samaj. And when he spoke ill of somebody, he only spoke ill of those whose allegiance did not lie with Bharat Mata. It is very clear. He spent 15 years in jail. The Maafinama, which Rahul Gandhi keeps talking about, is a general petition which almost every freedom fighter in those days used to submit. In Savarkar's case, it was a tactical move because when he came out, he realized that if he would not given the quantum of jail term he was serving, he would not have come out before maybe he was 80 or maybe he would have died over here. So in Savarkar's case, it was a tactical move to come out and serve the people and serve Bharat Mata. So, on the contrary, if you look at Nehru's detention in Nabha in 1924, it was Nehru who, in order to prevent a longer stay in the jail, on the advice of Motilal Nehru, had to quickly write a letter, and he came out of Nabha jail in no time. But the point is, why is this, on Gandhi Jayanti, why should the Congress be enamored of Savarkar and Jinnah? They were not talking, Gundu Rao was not talking about Gandhi. He was talking Savarkar vis-a-vis Jinnah. And you would recall that in February this year, when Nasir Hussain became a Rajya Sabha member, there were slogans, pro-Pakistan slogans raised, among the Congress Karyakartas. So where exactly is the Congress party headed? I think that is the larger question. Why is it
I think what Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao, Tuhin Sinha, what Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao was trying to say is that there was an inherent ideology that both Vinayak Damodar Savarkar and Muhammad Ali Jinnah believed in. They were both secular or non-conformist to what was being proposed or propagated. So that's why he said that he was a Brahmin, but he was a non-vegetarian, whether he ate beef, buff, whatever it was, but he never stopped anybody from eating, consuming, and that was Savarkar's thought process. But he also said that Jinnah was quite secular, and that was true. Jinnah became fundamentalist because of the ambitions and whatever happened, and there is also the entire love for Pandit Nehru in the heart of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, which is all there, but that he doesn't talk about. What he says is that Mahatma Gandhi was supposedly far more, and we need to walk on the path of Gandhi compared to the path proposed by either Jinnah or by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. The question is that he also underlines that Savarkar was fundamentalist, while the other two were not. Now, would you argue for or against this aspect that Vinayak Damodar Savarkar was fundamentalist?
Well, he was a true lover of Bharat Mata. He could do anything for the country. And, you know, it's a misconception that he was anti-Muslim. He was anti those whose allegiance did not lie with Bharat Mata. And I think that is how anybody who loves the country should be. But when it comes to Jinnah, his act of secularism was a put on, which later got exposed post 1947. You know, so there was a big difference. Katni or Karni mein bahut bada antar tha Jinnah ka, which the world got to see, which the world, you know, and continues to see. Well,
interestingly, Tuhin Sinha, Muhammad Ali Jinnah's first speech and post the partition was that he envisaged Pakistan not as an Islamic republic. He envisaged Pakistan as a secular republic where everybody would have space and everybody would get to grow. Now, that's what he publicly said. Yes, Liaquat Ali, his next, who followed him, changed, and it was under Liaquat Ali that it became the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. That's another point. But many say that Jinnah followed the two-nation theory. Jinnah was the one who was but in his own initial days and the way he was, the way he practiced his life, he was not as fundamentalist as, that's what Dinesh Gundu Rao is saying. But my question, Lokesh Jindal, is,
well,
okay, Lokesh Jindal is, see, that's what I'm trying to say. The Congress's counter has always been based on what Savarkar proposed. But Lokesh Jindal, has Congress been economical with the truth with respect to Vinayak Damodar Savarkar? Yes or no?
Well, do you know that Vinayak Damodar Savarkar refused to have the final rites as per the Hindu tradition? He didn't want to be cremated. He didn't want the 10th and the 13th day to be observed. In fact, he has divergent views with respect to cow worship. And in fact, he was a reformist in various aspects, similar to Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Now, amongst the Muslims, there were two factions. One were the Bombay Muslims, which was where we see Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He never went to the mosque, was eating wine, had all the all the etiquettes of a Westerner. And we had the Liaquat Ali from the UP and the Deobandi faction, having all aspects of a fundamentalist and having very rightist views.
Yeah.
Now over here, if we talk about Swatantra Veer Savarkar, now here he often talked about a modernist approach towards Hinduism.
Correct.
He discarded certain beliefs, certain forms of customs, which he didn't consider them necessary, and he did show a blend of rationality in it. But then when it came to idea of India, over here, both Jinnah and Savarkar, they had one similarity. Both construed the idea on the basis of religion. So we had Savarkar putting forward the theory that Indian is a person who is of Hindu religion because they have their Tirth Sthal in India. So they would always have some form of a connect to Indianness, and those who are foreigners, those who are not from the religion that has emerged from India, they are not true patriots. This was as per the Savarkar. And similarly, Jinnah, when he went to Pakistan.
One minute. Let him complete, and then we will issue our interventions. Let him complete.
And Jinnah, when he went to Pakistan, he did try to express his modernist outlook, but that was discarded from the faction of Liaquat Ali.
Yeah, interestingly, Lokesh Jindal, allow me to intervene. One or two aspects that Jinnah was a Shia, but they didn't even accept that he was a Shia on his grave. On his gravestone, they didn't write that he was Shia. So that's the level to which the entire corruption of the entire secular attitude or that was espoused by Jinnah happened by the Pakistanis. But there the fundamentalism does not come through for Dinesh Gundu Rao. Here, in your case, when you extolled what Savarkar proposed, Savarkar drew a very clear line, and his detailed essay is also mentioned as part of Dr. Vikram Sampath's commentary, extensive commentary, two-part commentary on Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, where he writes the political definition of Hindu and he separates it from the panth or the prathas or the religious system. For him, Sindhu to Sindhu, that means from the Himalayas all the way down to the Sagar, this geographical region, anybody and everybody who accepted, believed that their ancestors were born on this land, for him he deemed them Hindu. He didn't say that because your Teethsthal is here, that's why you're Hindu. He didn't say that. He didn't say that if you're a Muslim, if you follow Islam, if you follow Christianity, Baudh, Jain, Sikhism, Parsi, or any form of worship, or even if you didn't pray. He said, as long as you believed your ancestors hailed from here, I consider you a Hindu. His definition was a political definition of Hindu, and that he writes very clearly. And that was very different from his own personal beliefs or anybody else's religious beliefs. So that's where I'd like to correct you when you say that Savarkar interpreted as Tirthal or tum bahar ke aur hum nahi hai. That was not the case. He opposed the Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, the Ali brothers, who came out and said, you back Khilafat, which is happening in Turkey, but you cannot do Shuddhikaran. We will continue to do Tabligh or conversion, but you cannot do Ghar Wapsi or Shuddhikaran. So this is where that commentary is also very beautifully explained by Dr. Vikram Sampath. Please, I urge you to read it to get a better perspective of what Savarkar actually stood for. And thereby my question, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, that was Savarkar a fundamentalist or he was somebody who had his fundamentals clear?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Before I come to the thrust of my thesis and answer your question and say what I have to say, I just heard what my good friend Lokesh said, that both he clubbed Savarkar and Jinnah as reformists. Nothing can be more wrong and nothing can be more further than the truth. A coward hypocrite is not a reformist. Jinnah was not a reformist. Jinnah was a hypocrite who advocated others to follow Islam but was cowardly enough to never follow Islam himself. Did Jinnah any time say that Muslims should eat pork, Muslims should consume alcohol? No, he didn't. He was a hypocrite. He wanted to do all those things that, in his words, restricted him to lead a good life. That's not a reformist. A reformist is someone who advocates a reform, leave a dogma behind he advocates, and then he practices that as well. That is a reformist. So let's get the definitions clear. Number two, every other day these Congresses, they slander Savarkar, Anand, despite their ally, Udhav, Shiv Sena, demanding Bharat Ratna for him. Bhai, pehle wahan jaake clear kar lo. If it isn't the mercy petitions or apologies or the alleged role in Gandhi assassination, now it is beef eating. For heaven's sake, as you rightly said, they must read the authoritative biography of Savarkar. Savarkar never ate beef, although he was ambivalent towards cow slaughter, and that too he qualified by saying the moment the cow does not become useful to human beings, then one can take those actions. In fact, there is a wonderful passage in Vikram's book where he describes when Gandhi met Savarkar at, I think, India House for the first time. Savarkar was cooking prawns and Gandhi was mortified. And Savarkar said, why? What's wrong? You want to eat the Brits alive? You can't even eat prawns. Look, as I said, he did eat meat, but that's not the same thing as eating beef for a Hindu. And talking of apologies, Motilal Nehru had to plead and grovel before the Viceroy to let his son Jawaharlal off from Nabha jail, as he could not stand the harshness of it. Savarkar was in solitary for 6 months. यहाँ तो चचा 2 हफ्तों में पापा बचा लो चिल्लाने लगे. Look, Anand, we have to be clear about one thing. Distorted histories leave wounds that both medicine and time cannot heal. And very few have been distorted more than Savarkar. Now, there is no doubt that Savarkar was a fearless freedom fighter before he was incarcerated in Kalapani, and that he suffered terribly there, terribly. Prolonged spells of solitary confinement and brutal torture. So I am ambivalent towards his mercy petitions that were written at times, pleading not only for his release.
That's a standard format that was written even by the likes of, there are other freedom fighters, including letters written by Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi on behalf of others, which had similar sign. That's how you used to write. That was a letter.
I was just about to, if I have a minute, I wanted to explain that, Anand. Yes. So as I said, he did not plead only for his release, but also for release of all political prisoners. That said, it is also a fact that he had written multiple mercy petitions beginning 1911 by the time Gandhi advised Savarkar's brother that Savarkar should write another mercy petition in 1920, and also wrote an appeal to the British to release Savarkar. Another fact that these chauthi fails mocking Savarkar ignore is that the co-founder of Communist Party of India, Dange, also wrote mercy petition to the British, and unlike Savarkar, he wasn't even thrown in solitary for a day, leave alone months. Brave freedom fighters Bismil and Ashfaqullah Khan also wrote mercy petitions. There is also a fact that once released, Savarkar asked Indians to join the British army, but then so did Mahatma Gandhi. Savarkar was also against the Quit India movement, but then so was Rajaji and Ambedkar, who said, and I quote, "The Quit India movement is both irresponsible and insane, showing bankruptcy of statesmanship." And for those who say you need to be thrown in jail by the British if you were a true freedom fighter, I ask you, simple question. Was Dr. Ambedkar ever thrown in jail? Yes or no?
Yeah, not whether he was thrown in jail or not, nobody questions his allegiance to the country, but why nobody asked this question, why was out of all these freedom fighters who we know of as prominence, why was Vinayak Damodar Savarkar the only one who not only spent nearly a decade in jail, but after that another decade of Nazarbandi? He was not even allowed to go home, had to live life in penury. His wife and kids were troubled all along, and at all points in time, every single utterance of his was actually marked like by the British. And for everything that they said, that there was somebody who was quite literally in today's world the fact checkers of the day, they were sitting there to mark every single word of what he was saying. So you know how certain people are marked these days. That's how he was marked. Why only him? That's one point. The other aspect on cow slaughter, Tuin Sinha and Lokesh Jindal coming back. Did Bharat's icon support cow slaughter? Here on the right stand, we show you some facts of what exactly Veer Savarkar or Vinayak Damodar Savarkar said on cow slaughter and on cow protection. In 1934, in volume 3 of the Samagra Savarkar Vangmaya, Savarkar said, without spreading religious superstition, let the movement for cow protection be based and popularized on the clear-cut and experimental economic and scientific principles. Then alone shall we achieve genuine cow protection like the Americans. In the year 1935, in Hindu Rashtra Darshan, Veer Savarkar said, the cow is the sacred symbol of our national identity. In 1936, in the Vidyanishtha Nibandha or the pro-science essays, Veer Savarkar said to have a feeling of gratitude towards an animal that is so useful to us is particularly consistent with the Hindu trait of compassion towards all living beings. In 1938, Veer Savarkar said it was improper to forget duty of cow protection and indulging only in worship. In Samagra Savarkar Vangmaya, he said when humanitarian interests are not served and in fact harmed by the cow, and when humanism is shamed, self-defeating extreme cow protection should be rejected. In a speech in Bombay in 1934, Savarkar stated that the cow is not just an animal but a mother, a symbol of our nation's prosperity and sanctity. In a speech in Nagpur in 1938, Savarkar again stated that protection of the cow is a fundamental tenet of Hinduism. Its slaughter is a betrayal of our national heritage. Did Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao not see all of this? Or did this escape his attention, like a lot of other facets and facts about Vinayak Damodar Savarkar seem to have escaped those who continue to vilify him? Tuin Sinha, you had a point, and then we'll go back to Lokesh Jindal. Ji.
Well, you know, Anand, the quantum of falsehood that has been maliciously spread about Savarkar has made the present generation of Congress party, you know, look at him as some sort of a villain. Now, I was listening to the Congress representative, my friend Lokesh, on the show, and he says that Savarkar had said no to funeral. Fact is, he had not said no to funeral, he had said no to the accompanying rituals. And is it so odd to, you know, find non-ritualistic Hindus? Fact is, these people don't know much about Hinduism also. Non-ritualistic Hindus, in fact, is as much a reality as ritualistic and idol-worshipping Hindus. Hinduism is too vast for the contemporary Congress party to even understand it.
No, so then was he a reformist? Was he a reformist or was he a fundamentalist then?
Yes, absolutely.
So then if you are a fundamentalist, you will be highly orthodox and you will say, So I'm just saying, why use a word like fundamentalist for him is what I'm saying. You may agree with him, disagree with him. Yes, Tuin Sinha, yeah.
On the contrary, like I mentioned, on the contrary, he was one of the biggest unifiers of this land. For him, the entire definition of Hinduism, like you mentioned, is about a geographical mass, and everybody living within that geographical landmass is culturally a Hindu. So, in fact, what Supreme Court said in 1995 judgment, Hinduism is a way of life, he had always believed it. But obviously, the present day Congress, which is so dismissive about our culture, will not accept it. That's the point. But yes, one political point I want to score over here. If Congress has been emboldened, the one party which has emboldened Congress in this endeavor of denigrating Savarkar, it is the Uddhav Sena. In the 2.5 years that they were in power together in Maharashtra, there were umpteen times where Rahul Gandhi provoked them by calling Savarkar coward and saying what not, and Uddhav did not say a word.
No, so but the Samna did. Sir, I may have a political point based on research and thought process, but there are certain things that we should also concede. That so
they
far
did not act on it.
No.
They did not act on it.
The point is, they can have difference of views, and they have very clearly said, if it is the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, Senavesh and Uddhav Thackeray, Aditya Thackeray, all of them, even Sanjay Raut, who is the editor of Samna, all of them at that time, he was, now he isn't, they have very clearly written pains about Savarkar. They have never changed their position on Savarkar, and they are the ones who asked for Bharat Ratna for Savarkar. So far, this call has not even come within the rank and file of the BJP that Savarkar should be conferred the Bharat Ratna. Only the UBT has openly said this so far. So let's give credit where it is due. But yes, Lokesh Jindal, coming back, this vilification of Savarkar, to call him a fundamentalist when he is not. You yourself said he had reformist ideas, he had rationalist ideas. That doesn't make him a fundamentalist. A fundamentalist will be highly orthodox, won't he? A fundamentalist will be highly driven by a particular ideology which says that his religion only and nobody else. But Savarkar himself never espoused religion. He espoused a geographical concept of Hinduism. Ji.
My apology. Can I interject before Lokesh comes in?
Lokesh, with your permission, he wants 10 seconds if you would concede.
Please.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. No, I just wanted to say on this, what is fundamentalist for Hinduism? According to me, I have very limited knowledge of it, but it's not the same as other Abrahamic religion, where fundamentalism means the dogma, the strictures by which every person who professes that faith must go by. In Hinduism, you have Charvaks who are atheists. You have Lingayats who deny the Vedas. There is, according to me, there is the only fundamentalism of Hinduism is the gloriousness of it, to seek questions, to ask questions, to seek more knowledge. It's a philosophy. So to say that he was a fundamentalist, yes, the fundamentals of Hinduism are to seek more knowledge.
So fundamentals and fundamentalist are two different words. So one can say that Mr. Savarkar or Vinayak Damodar Savarkar had his fundamentals very clear, but was he a fundamentalist? Yes, Lokesh Jindal, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Anand, first of all, with respect to the cow issue, Savarkar was very clear. He said that cow is bovine, not divine.
Yeah.
And that was a very clear-cut statement that he had delivered, and he condemned all such forms of ancient texts claiming that there are 33 crores gods who are residing in a cow, and all forms of rituals associated with some form of such belief. So in this way, he was reformist. He was not somebody who was into protection of cows. Now, when the minister over here draws the parallel, he points out that yes, Savarkar was not fundamentalist to the texts, but when it came to the political ideology of Hindutva and defining the idea of India, he had certain shades of fundamentalism. That is non-accommodation of outside religions. Now that was one of the aspects of Hinduism also.
Yeah.
When you talk about Hinduism as a religion, now if you talk about conversion or Shuddhi,
but Lokesh, since we are having we are having an educated debate here, so I'm just asking you, that does that not itself show perhaps a certain level of paucity of understanding of what Savarkar's fundamentals of Hindu itself is? If I'm very clearly saying Savarkar always called whoever who considered this geographical land space as the land of their ancestors, irrespective of what belief they have, they follow, religious belief they follow, he considered them a Hindu, then this whole argument made by Dinesh Gundu Rao ji falls, doesn't it?
No, Anand,
it's not a religious argument at all then. Ji. Please carry on.
Yes, Anand, I have also read about the ideas and philosophy of Savarkar, and he refused to accept that a person or the people who had come from outside during the waves of migrations and those who were practicing different religions, let us say Anglo-Indians. Now we have Henry Vivian Derozio, who was an Anglo-Indian, and he was very much patriotic. He took pride in calling himself as Indian. So he was very much an Indian citizen. So it's not fair to call him as non-Indian just because his ancestors were not in India.
Sir, the moment you say he's an Anglo-Indian, that means one of the roots of the parental lineage was from Bharat, sir. So what was Savarkar saying? As long as you believe that your land of your ancestors, your Purvaj was Bharat, and you are Hindu for me. That's what he is saying. So that encompasses any and every religion that is in Bharat, because any and every religion has come here from the 6th century onwards already. So there is no fight there. From the 1st century, from the time of passing of Christ itself, Christianity was here. From the time of Prophet Muhammad itself and birth of Islam itself, Islam was in India. So where is the conflict there? That's why I'm saying, when it comes to the interpretation of political ideology or definition of Hindutva, why does the Congress choose to corrupt Savarkar's thought process? Why does it do it, is what I'm asking you. Is it a narrative that they are forced to follow? Or where do they decide to write, no, I will lock up my common sense and intelligence on this one and continue to follow what has been taught to me? I am asking you, Lokesh Jindal.
Yes. Anand, recently I read an article about the gypsies who are in the Romas, who are in Europe, and their ancestry is traced to India. Yeah. But then they are not considered as Indian citizens, nor they are considered as European citizens. Now, if you apply the Savarkar doctrine over here, now are you claiming that these are also Indians?
Sir, if they are living in Bharat, sir, again, please let us not argue for the sake of arguing, Lokesh. You understand what I'm saying. If you are living in Bharat and you consider that your ancestors also have lived on this land, that is very clear.
I would say that as per the modern theory of citizenship, modern idea of state, a person who has acquired Indian citizenship is very much an Indian citizen.
Correct.
Irrespective of what his ancestors were, whether both his ancestors were...
But again, Lokesh, this we are talking about between 1900 to 1935, 1940, when Savarkar, that Bharat was taking shape. The idea of Bharat and Hindu and Hindustan was shaping shape. So where Jinnah defined Muslim by the name of religion, Savarkar defined a Hindu by the name of geographical identity. Now, इससे बड़ा difference in orthodox thinking and modernized thinking and rational thinking क्या हो सकता है? And then you say Savarkar was a fundamentalist and Jinnah was not. So then it defeats the purpose of an intellectual discourse itself. Yeah, Anand Ranganathan and Tuin Sinha, final word.
Now, I'd say, I don't know why Lokesh is getting a bit rattled. All of us like and respect Miss Sonia Gandhi. Please, rest assured. No, Anand,
he's not rattled at all. He's making an argument, although I don't know if he today believes in that argument himself. Yes, Anandji, go ahead, please. Yeah.
That was in a lighter way. And Lokesh's smile also, thanks, appreciates that. No, look, let's be very honest about it. If I ask one question, I wonder whether Lokesh will be able to answer it or not. But before I ask that question, the fact remains that Savarkar was more of a reformer, social reformer than even Dr. Ambedkar. It's a fact. It is not to be disputed. So I want to ask, one second. I want to ask Lokesh, they have relegated each and every person to the dustbin, historical dustbin, anyone who went against Nehru or Gandhi. That has been their lineage of Congress. I want to ask him, Nehru passed away in 1964, he got Bharat Ratna in 1954. Ambedkar passed away in 1956. One of the greatest sons according to Congress as well. When did he get the Bharat Ratna? Agar itna pyar tha Ambedkar se, Lokesh, bata do zara. When did he get Bharat Ratna?
No, I think, but we are digressing.
I'm trying to prove a point.
No, I understand. I would like to circle back on the conversation and stay with
between religious reforms and social reforms.
Sir,
when you say that Veer Savarkar as a religious reformer, I would say yes. But you cannot say
no,
that
he never wanted to be a religious reformer. He identified the perfect plan to unite anybody and everybody who identifies with this land and its this bhubhag. That's what he did, sir, from his political definition of Hindutva. which is not religious at all. It's the Congress which has taken a political definition and turned it into a religious identification. That's what's happened. Twin Sana, final word. Sorry, I have to wind up. So, this discussion and we'll go to the next subject.
Two quick points. Two quick points, Anand. Why do they demonize Savarkar? Because this Congress party believes, the contemporary Congress party believes that the entire freedom struggle was the hallmark of one particular ideology. They want India to believe that the freedom movement in the right sense started with the formation of the Congress party in 1885, whereas the fact is that, it predates the formation of the Congress party by a good 102 years. So, I think that is the crucial difference over here. Number two, since they at least believe in Gandhi wholeheartedly, I would advise them to follow Gandhi's advice that even a non-believer can be a Hindu. Hinduism is about your individual quest for truth. Sadly, this Congress party does not believe in the quest for truth, and that is why they keep demonizing, that is why they keep denigrating Savarkar.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. We'll leave it there, but clearly Savarkar seems to be somebody who had his fundamentals right. He's certainly not a fundamentalist, but we hope that better sense prevails on someone as erudite, eloquent and also intelligent like Dinesh Gundu Rao ji. His father himself was the former Chief Minister of Karnataka. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, this entire aspect in Maharashtra, vote jihad, did it happen or didn't it? And then this conversation about a seat Samvad that Ajit Pawar has initiated, 10% of the seats allocated to the NCP within the Maha to go to the minorities. Is this rift or is it a classic good cop, bad cop strategy? Stay with us. Just ahead of the Maharashtra Assembly elections, the BJP is sensing an opposition fear-mongering among minorities, and they have coined a term called the vote jihad. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, this term, although being used by Devendra Fadnavis, was first coined or seen used by the India Alliance members in Uttar Pradesh. Now, this term has been used by Devendra Fadnavis not once but often in the last few days. He said that in 14 out of 48 seats, while using this term, vote jihad was evident as per the numbers and the votes that have been polled across these assembly constituencies, and this has been used against BJP in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The opposition accusing the Deputy Chief Minister of trying to polarize Hindu votes against the Muslims. Now, as opposition criticized Devendra Fadnavis for polarizing, there were instances which show how netas from opposition ranks used the term to woo minorities ahead of the Lok Sabha polls. Congress's leader Salman Khurshid's niece used the term vote jihad, asking minorities to punish the BJP just ahead of Lok Sabha. Days after Fadnavis used the term, his alliance partner Ajit Pawar has taken a totally different stance. He said that people may say whatever they are saying. I promised 10% out of the NCP's quota in the Maha. 10% of the seats out of the quota of the NCP's portion or allocation in the Maha, and that I will reserve it for minorities. Now, is this a sign of rift, or is this the classic good cop bad cop strategy?
हमको वोट जिहाद भी देखने को मिला। मैं आपको एक उदाहरण बताता हूँ कि जो धुलिया की सीट है, धुले, इस धुले सीट पर हमारे यहाँ एक लोकसभा में 6 असेंबली होती है जी। 6 में से 5 असेंबली में हम लोग आगे हैं, और कितना 1,90,000 से हम आगे हैं। और मालेगांव मध्य ये एक सीट पर हम लोग 1,94,000 से पीछे गए और 4,000 से सीट हारे। वहाँ तो हम हमेशा ही पीछे जाते हैं, लेकिन जिस प्रकार का एक रिवेंजफुल वोटिंग हमको वहाँ देखने को मिला, तो एक जो नैरेटिव बनाया जा रहा था, एक माइनॉरिटीज़ में एक डर पैदा किया जा रहा था, तो मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं हम लोगों ने उसको अंडरमाइन किया। मतलब हम लोगों को लगा नहीं कि इस प्रकार से डर पैदा होकर माइनॉरिटीज़ एकत्रित आकर एक रिवेंज वोटिंग करेंगे, तो इसके कारण एक 0.3% का जो फर्क पड़ा, लेकिन उसका सीट्स में बहुत बड़ा अंतर पड़ा है।
ज्यांनी पक्षाच्या करता अनेक वर्ष काम केलंय, माझ्या मराठवाड्याच्या भूमीमध्ये, बीड जिल्ह्याच्या भूमीमध्ये, माझ्या माजलगाव परळीला सांगायला आलोय की बाबांनो, उद्याच्या काळात विन समाजाकरता करण्याची जिद्द असते, चिकाटी असते, त्या पद्धतीनं आम्ही यावेळेस निवडणुकीच्या निमित्तानं मी माझ्या अल्पसंख्याक समाजाला पण सांगतोय, राज्यात जेवढ्या जागा राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पक्षाला महायुतीमध्ये मिळणार आहे, त्याच्यातल्या 10% जागा मी मायनॉरिटीला देण्याचं काम करणार आहे। तशा प्रकारचा निर्णय मी घेतला। मी सर्व जाती धर्माला मानणारा शिवशाहू फुले आंबेडकरांचा।
The three gents stay on with us. Lokesh Jindal, you use this as a weapon. You weaponize the Muslim vote against the BJP. So the BJP is calling it out now. That's the argument.
Anand, this alliance is an unnatural alliance. Fadnavis Sahab, when he is talking about that you are having, that there was some form of a vote jihad against BJP, he is undermining the failures that had led to the milk, the pastoralists, the milk cooperatives, the onion farmers, the sugarcane farmers, disillusioned by BJP's politics. There has been a complete economic catastrophe, and it is because of this that the people, they routed BJP in the Lok Sabha elections. But what is happening is somehow BJP is trying to polarize the issue, somehow trying to stir up the religious card. But then you are having NCP, which Ajit Pawar ji knows it very well, that what is the right way of politics in Maharashtra, rather in the country. Now, in the present times, Anand, we are having the downtrodden section, the marginalized, they are facing the brunt of the economic catastrophe that we are seeing presently. And he is reaching out to them because he is trying to come to a damage control mode. He is trying to somehow rectify the wrong decision that he has taken. Somehow he is trying to again correct the political future and the mess that he has entered into. But in Anand, in Maharashtra, the situation is very, very dismal for the BJP. And no matter how hard it tries, it is not going to stir up the polarization, the religious card. It is going to backfire immensely.
Well, unnatural alliance in the Mahayuti, quite rich coming from the Mahavikas Agadi. So you have to admit, it's quite classic case of the pot calling the kettle black. But we'll park that aside. The other thing is Goebbels. The Malegaon Dhule seat itself, Dhule as a Lok Sabha seat, Malegaon Madhya, 1,90,000 votes vote en masse for against the BJP. And the overall vote share difference is 0.3. So narrative versus numbers, the story is different. And who polarized whom? Again, this comes somewhere resonates. But Tuhin Sinha, you have a problem, sir. There is a set of voters who feel alienated from the BJP. Now, be it Muslims, otherwise, they're all citizens of the country. They do not want to vote for you. And you have a problem there. You can't blame the opposition for weaponizing that vote, whatever you may say. Fact is, you have not been able to win them.
Anand, let me first explain to you why vote jihad, which is an insidious scourge unfolding in different parts of the country, is dangerous for the country. Devendra ji has very clearly explained what exactly is it, so I don't need to get over there. But, it has to be seen alongside the demography war which is unfolding. Just 2 days ago, the Amroha MLA Mehboob Ali made an open claim कि हमारी आबादी इतनी बढ़ गई है कि 2027 में किसी भी तरह से बीजेपी नहीं जीत सकती है. Do you recall TMC MLA Firhad Hakim? What did he say in 2016 when he took a Pakistan minister around the Garden Reach area? Come, let me show you around, the mini Pakistan that we have in Kolkata. Similarly, Congress MLA Irfan Ansari in Jharkhand in the Santhal Parganas area is notorious for similar sentiments. So, you have to see vote jihad in the context of this demography war which is being encouraged by certain political parties and politicians, and ask the larger question. Are conditions being created similar to, those which existed at the start of the 20th century and which became the precursor for the Indian Councils Act of 1909? The separate electorate, which was one of the most dangerous things to be brought in the country. Is the India Alliance working on that plan and trying to create that? I think that is the larger question which this India Alliance needs to answer.
You may blame
as far as our outreach is concerned, just 10 more seconds. Just 10 seconds. As far as our outreach is concerned, if you just look at the social welfare schemes, whether it is Jan Dhan Yojana, whether it is, the Ujjwala scheme, the coverage of Muslims in the range of, for all these schemes, and Anand is good with that data, Anand Ranganathan ji is very good with that data, is in the range of 25 to 35%. So how
Correct.
are we not reaching out to the minority community?
See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. See, you may quote those numbers, Tuhin Sinha, but as a state, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to deliver. But the fact is that despite getting the deliverables from you, there is a mindset against you. If you, that's a failure of your narrative and a success of the opposition's narrative. You can't keep blaming the opposition for everything. You have to take some blame on yourself and say that the Bharatiya in the Bharatiya Janata Party has not percolated down on the minds of a certain set of people. Why? You still have more than 60% of the voter base that's not voting for you. That includes a particular fair share of Muslims, but it also includes a huge share of Hindus and others also, right? But my question is that if you have delivered for everyone, that's your job as somebody who's been elected to govern. But if you have not been able to win them over in a decade, so clearly you have not been able to diffuse a narrative that's been set up against you. Or you're continuing to fuel that, hoping that the other side polarizes in your favor. Anand Ranganathan.
No, let me answer. I'm glad you rebutted Tuhin there, but I side with Tuhin on that one half aspect. Let me explain. It's a beautiful discussion we're having, because this is my rebuttal response is going to be in two parts. Number one, you correctly said, Tuhin also correctly said that BJP has actually gone out more bent itself backwards to help out the Muslim community, and the data is there. It's fine. And you say, and yet Tuhin, BJP has not been able to shift the narrative that it is anti-Muslim. That's not BJP's fault, Anand. Tell me the truth. I am an atheist. You are a practicing Hindu. Aren't both of us termed Islamophobic? Are we Islamophobic? No. Anybody who fights for against discrimination of anyone else, including Muslims, but who doesn't like appeasement, is branded anti-Muslim. So it's not BJP's fault. That narrative will never change. I will never be not termed Islamophobic. They are scared of this. They are scared, and that is why they brand people like that. So that's not BJP's fault at all. I'll tell you what the BJP's fault is. And please, Tuhin, listen carefully. The BJP does not lose because it doesn't get Muslim votes. It will never get Muslim votes. The BJP loses because it doesn't get Hindu votes. It promises to remove discrimination against Hindus, and it doesn't. Even one bit of discrimination. It carries on for decade upon decade. Temples under control, RT Act amendment, Waqf Act, how many things, Place of Worship Act. It has done paltry for Hindus, and yet it says, oh, we lost because Muslims aren't giving us votes. Arey, Muslims will not vote for you. And finally, one of the reasons why I admire Lokesh is such a charmer. When he's talking about unnatural alliance, as you said, the biggest unnatural alliance is Maha Vikas Aghadi. But barring that, he was completely silent on the fact that Mr. Salman Khurshid's niece, the Congress, Samajwadi Party, was the one who coined Love Jihad. He's totally silent on that.
No, they were the ones who quoted Vote Jihad. And in this case, if they are using this word terminology, Devendra Fadnavis uses it, it's wrong, and somebody else uses it, it's right. That's not true. Anybody using this clearly is showing a particular strategy that's being followed en masse by a particular community. If it will counter-polarize, then that's not good for the country. Gents, I've got to rest it here. We'll take it forward in the days to come with more evidence across the country. We'll try and put it out here on the right stand. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I thank our panelists for joining us. When we come back, we get you some shocking details from Bangladesh. This is Durga Puja. Mahalaya is over. Devi Ma has come to everybody's homes here in Bharat. But the Hindus in Bangladesh, it's becoming very tough for them. Stay with us. Back live with news just coming through of instances of vandalism, Durga Puja vandalism from various locations in Bangladesh, Kishorganj, Batrish Gopinath, Jiura Khada, brand new idol of the goddess was vandalized early this morning. Now this is, and there are visuals coming in from Komila district, Durga Puja idol and again vandalized, donation box of the temple looted in Narel in Bangladesh. Islam is attacking a Durga temple in Mirapara just days ago, 2 days ago on 1st of October. And then, of course, the vandalism of the Shiv temple we've shown you in Narel already. And Muslim bodies denying permission to Hindus to celebrate Durga Puja across the country, citing poor security arrangements. And this is while they claim to the world that everything is all right. And there is also this aspect of jizya being charged. Let's go across to Hindol Sen Gupta and Radha Raman Das ji who are joining us. Namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you, gentlemen. Radha Raman Das ji, Mohammad Yunus says all is well. Puja will happen as usual, but the reports say otherwise.
I was speaking with one of our reporters in Bangladesh just 20 minutes ago, and he says that right now 4 houses of Gaudiya Math, 2 houses of Gaudiya Math congregation, Muslims, they have just burnt, and another 2 houses of another Hindus, they are burning. So this is every night. For last 1 month we are seeing every night they are burning Hindu houses. Muhammad Yunus, yesterday, I think 2nd October, he met the son of George Soros. So we know what kind of George Soros this person is. He is a totally anti-Hindu person. And we are seeing on ground that for last, there are so many documented cases which we are documenting. It is there and reported by many news channels from Bangladesh. Not only Bangladesh, but other also major like Indian news channels, they are also reporting. Indian news channels, many news channels, they visited Bangladesh and they covered what is going on the Hindu families and Hindu temples.
Where is this instance that you're saying of Gaudiya Math? Gaudiya Math
this
houses
is, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot the name, but just we spoke 20 minutes before. So he said that 2 houses of Gaudiya Math, I can send the details. I didn't ask the details because actually every time we call them, we hear such newses. So like every night they are burning houses. And it is so shocking that this person, the caretaker prime minister, he is meeting George Soros' son. We know what kind of person
who he meets,
George Soros.
Who he meets is beyond our control, but what he does with the people of his own country who is responsible for is a question that can be very validly asked based on the visuals we are getting. Hindol Sen Gupta?
This is a long history, and as of course you know, in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has had attacks like this on Durga Puja for many, many years. Now, there is a bit of a dichotomy here. It is true that under Sheikh Hasina, while some of these attacks happened in full measure on certain years, but the sheer number of Durga Pujas also grew. At one point, Sheikh Hasina even had a policy of giving 500 rupees, to every pandal, as it were, to, help them. But there is a deeper underlying crisis here, Anand, which is that the state of Bangladesh, with Yunus essentially as a figurehead, is being handed over to the Islamists. We've been saying this from day one. The Islamists will not be able to take over the entire state in one day, but step by step, measure by measure, they will take over every aspect of the state. And one of the biggest things that they want to eradicate is this 7 or 8% Hindu population. Now 7 or 8% out of 200 million people is still a lot of people. So this will take time, but this is like 1,000 cuts. They will keep at it until the last Hindu is eliminated. This is a long thought out strategy. Please remember, ever since Bangladesh was created, the numbers of Hindus have fallen steadily. It has never grown, unlike in India where minority populations steadily always grow. In Bangladesh and of course in Pakistan, it has never grown, it has always fallen. So this is a 30, 40, 50 year game. It has just begun. We are just seeing the beginning of that. And the Islamists led by Jamaat will do everything possible to eliminate especially Hindus from Bangladesh.
Well, sad but turn of events. But Radharamanji, has there been any representation made? What's happened there?
Actually, every day devotees they are coming on the street. Tomorrow also near Shahid Minar, there is some Shahid Minar place. So all Hindus they will be demonstrating what happened on the first day of Navratri. But speaking with them, they are completely hopeless.
Right.
We saw that what happened in Kashmir in 1990s. They started with announcing from the mosque, and same thing is going to happen. It's not going to stop.
Right.
Now it is time that if in 1971 India can intervene in East
Right.
Pakistan when Bengalis they were tortured
Right.
and make a separate country for them, why can't Shashakt Bharat of 2024 interfere
Well-
and make carve out a nation
Well, we see,
in Bangladesh for him?
as of now, the conversations are happening and the MEA is closely monitoring what's going on. Hindol Sen Gupta and Radha Ramanji, thank you very much. I've run out of time, but we'll follow this very, very closely. Brass Tacks up next.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. Controversial Islamist preacher Zakir Naik, who's a most wanted man here in India for promoting terror, for disturbing peace and amity between communities, and for egregious foreign exchange violations, is today a state guest in Pakistan. The state of Pakistan has rolled out the red carpet for Zakir Naik. He's met with Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and also the Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar. He's slated to meet with the Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir